Welcome into another edition of Mavs Latest. I'm Josyah Howard, and before we get things started, please subscribe down below. Please leave comments as I'm going along here today. All things Dallas Mavericks here on Mavs Latest every day with me, Josyah Howard. But let's start here. The Mavericks have released their preseason schedule, and it's highlighted by a pair of extremely intriguing matchups. They'll also be holding a training camp in Vancouver from September 30th to October 4th on the campus of Simon Fraser University. Um, on October 6th, the Mavs will open preseason against the defending world champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. That game will tip off at 7:30 p.m. at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, and that will be Cooper Flag's first taste of a NBA regulated game, not summer league, but an NBA game with your NBA teammates. So we shall see how that one goes. Um, the Mavericks will have a lone preseason game at American Airlines Center. That will be against the Charlotte Hornets on October 11th. That will also start at 7 p.m. Uh, and preseason play continues for the Mavs with an 8 p.m. tip-off at Delta Center in Salt Lake City, October 13th against the Jazz. And their final preseason game will be October 15th in Las Vegas against LeBron James, former Mavs guard Luka Doncic, and the Lakers. That game will tip off at 9 p.m. from T-Mobile Arena. Some fun matchups in preseason. The connection with Cooper Flag and the Hornets is former high school teammate Liam McNeely on that team. So that will be a fun little duo matchup there. Um, Obviously, facing the Thunder will be fun. Them defending their championship, first game for them. Not a real regular season game, but still their first game as defending champions. Utah will be interesting going against Ace Bailey for Cooper Flag. And then the obvious appeal of LeBron and Luka versus the new look Dallas Mavericks. So try to get out to a couple of those games if you can. Should be fun experience as the regular season slowly creeps upon us. The preseason schedule for the Dallas Mavericks has been released, but I want to get into this because this is a topic that, in relation to Cooper Flag, I feel like I've talked about before, and that is almost the rush to make Cooper Flag the primary playmaker on this team in year one. And NBA journalist Law Murray, he believes that D'Angelo Russell is no longer the player that he is going to be from the past. And he very much had his worst season of his career last year, only averaging about 12 points per game. Um, but if you're like Murray and you don't think that D'Angelo Russell is the solution in terms of the playmaking option, um, Murray suggests that Cooper Flag in Jason Kidd's eyes is the real solution for the playmaking option while Kyrie is out, and we saw a little bit of that in the playmaking duties he had in summer league. Um, but he's obviously not a traditional point guard. But Jason Kidd sees the potential in Cooper Flag to develop as a point guard, a point forward, excuse me, similar to a Grant Hill or a Giannis Antetokounmpo, where Jason Kidd has history successfully utilizing Giannis as a primary ball handler, and that accelerated the Greek Freak's development into a superstar. And Murray continues on by saying Jason Kidd, when he got to Milwaukee, got the Bucks job, he put the ball right in Giannis's hands and accelerated his potential. They're going to have to do the same for Cooper Flag, because you can't ask D'Angelo Russell to be a primary ball handler. D'Angelo, and he quotes, legitimately awful last year. And yes, he had his career worst in my opinion. 12 12 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. Uh, Started off on the Lakers, and he was honestly a trade rumor right from the jump of last season, so that might have played into it. And then he got traded to a bad team in Brooklyn. So maybe a new team, new scenery, new vibes, new coaching. Maybe that knocks him back into a little bit of what we saw in his first run in Brooklyn. Maybe when he was, I'm not saying an all star, like I don't see an all star production type of season from him, but a season where he's not quite literally a detriment defensively to your team and then not giving you efficient offense, and then now you're a detriment to your team if you're not efficiently scoring and then you're getting scored on the other end. uh yes, I do agree that Russell isn't the greatest option in terms of your starting point guard right now, but he could be a good bench player when Kyrie comes back, and you gotta hope Kyrie comes back earlier rather than later. But you also don't want to rush him back. He's on the older side. You don't want to rush him back, and then he gets re-injured, and then you got to do this all over again. So at the end of the day, they're going to make Cooper Flag a, if not a primary, a secondary playmaker on this team, and I don't know how much is gonna work early on. You're gonna like, and I'm gonna. I said this before. I'm gonna keep saying it. You have to temper your expectations for Cooper Flag this year. I think he's not gonna put up the numbers and like the flashiness of the numbers that people want to see year one. But he's gonna have the highlight plays. He's gonna have the blocks. He's gonna have the steals. He's gonna have the dunks, the crazy fadeaways, the 3 pointers. He's gonna have all of that. He's gonna be a highlight reel. But just in terms of immediate championship contending impact, just hit the pause button when it comes to Cooper Flag and just let him develop, let him figure it out before we're putting those types of expectations on Cooper Flag. But from one person trying to create a championship legacy to one that has one, Draymond Green was asked on Threads recently if if Luka Doncic, if Luka Doncic uh wasn't traded from Dallas, does he have that same fire? And Draymond kind of defends Nico in a sense and says Nico can be right in his thinking and end up being wrong in the end because he doesn't play the game and Luka is one of the greatest talents we've ever seen. It doesn't just mean bleep on Nico either, said Draymond. And I get what he means. It's like just because you know Luka got in shape in LA doesn't mean Nico was wrong in the fact that Luka was not getting in shape in Dallas. And maybe he just wasn't ever going to hear that message in Dallas, and maybe he needed to get sent to somewhere else to hear it. And we'll never know. Maybe it would have maybe eventually clicked for him. Maybe another tough finals loss would have made it click for him. Who knows? Maybe a couple playoff exits makes it click for him. You never know. But now you accelerated this for him. And maybe you could have did this in house. Maybe you couldn't have. And you obviously believed you couldn't have because you traded him. So I do see where Draymond's coming from, and I don't like saying that often. I don't necessarily agree with Draymond Green a lot, but I can see where you're like, yeah, I can see Nico saying, all right, I think he's not going to get in shape. I don't think he's going to become a reliable enough defender, efficient enough scorer. So I got to drop him. And I don't agree with that. I don't think most Dallas Mavericks fans agree with that. I don't think most NBA fans agree with that thinking. But that was his thinking. So he ultimately is wrong in his thinking because Luka did get in shape and Luka is one of the greats to ever play this game, and I think once he gets the accolades to back up the talent, then he could start going up the ladder in terms of to all-time ranking. But all in all, with this whole thing, all in all, is that the Mavericks and Nico Harrison, they woke up a monster. And that monster was already a monster. So I don't know what they even woke up. They woke up a mythical being. And I know we just talked about trying to make Cooper Flag the next freak, but Nico Harrison and the Mavericks woke up a monster, a beast. And to be honest with you, if Luka Doncic isn't eventually the favorite for MVP, I'd be surprised this year, barring injury, of course. But that's how I see it going into this season. But to wrap things up with a little Mavs chatter, Will Miller of the Smoking Cuban, he pointed out that Kevin Pelton, he wrote a piece where he gave offseason grades to all 30 teams, and he gave the Mavs a B minus and also gave the Mavs a B minus for the Daniel Gafford extension in particular. And Miller goes into how the fact that this contract is one of the most flexible deals in the league, that has to be at least a B plus. And I agree with Will. I would say a B minus is a little low. I think you're going off the level of player that Gafford is, and you're not taking into account what the market is for the contracts in the NBA now. A $20 million player is a good role playing starter. That's what they're making now, and that's a real movable deal. Um, and now especially where if he just had made a few more million, he would have been ineligible to be traded for 6 months. So now that he signed the deal that he signed, if they wanted to move him before before the deadline, they could. So it's just so much flexibility with that contract now. I think Gafford is somebody teams would want. So it was good they locked in that deal. I'm not giving it like an A plus or anything. If anything, if it's not a B minus, I'd say a B plus B. So the grade's not too far off. I wouldn't say that they snubbed the Mavs on their offseason grades or anything. You don't get higher remarks because you get lucky that you get Cooper Flag. They haven't done much in the offseason. That was big needle movers outside of luckily getting the number one overall pick. So B minus B for offseason grade isn't too far off. I wouldn't say that the Mavs offseason grade was a snub, but this has been Mavs Latest. I'm Josyah Howard. Again, please subscribe down below. It helps a lot. Please comment down below. Like, rate, subscribe, and let's get it, y'all.